coming tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with Beaches Watch, we are a nonprofit citizens group here at the beach. We were founded in 2004, so we're celebrating our 9th year this year. And of course, we couldn't do it without all of our volunteers, but our focus is to educate and involve citizens in the issues that come before our local city governments. And that's why we're having this meeting tonight with our 3 beach mayors. Before we get started though, I want to recognize the elected officials that we have in the audience tonight. Beginning with Atlantic Beach, of course, we have Mayor Mike Borno, who's going to be one of our speakers tonight. We have Commissioner Carolyn Woods that just came in from Atlantic Beach. And then we also have Commissioner Maria Mark from Atlantic Beach. Oh, there she is. And then from Jacksonville Beach, we have Mayor Latham, who is also one of our speakers. We have Tom Taylor, Councilman Tom Taylor, there you are. And we have Councilwoman Chris Hoffman and Councilman Phil Vogelsang. Anybody else from Jax Beach sneak in that I didn't catch?
I just saw Keith driving by.
Okay, so Keith Doherty will be here in just momentarily. And then from Neptune Beach we have Mayor Harriet Pruette, who's our speaker tonight. Councilman Richard Arthur, I saw him come in. Where did he go? There he is. And we have Councilwoman Kara Tucker. And we have Councilman Scott Wiley. So we have almost a full forum of council people here tonight, so that's awesome. Okay, so real quickly, I just want to make a few announcements. I hope everybody got an agenda when you came in. On the back of the agenda is contact information for all of our elected officials here at the beach. So if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, you know how to get in touch with them. And this is a nice little handy reference for you. I also want to mention that Happy New Year, and with the start of 2013, it's time to renew your Beaches Watch membership because our memberships run from January to December. So even if you joined in August of last year, renewals still start in January. So we do have membership forms out at the table, and if you want to renew tonight, well, we've got somebody that can take that renewal for you. And also, we've got a few things on here I wanted to mention. There's a Jacksonville Beach Planning Commission meeting that's coming up on Monday the 14th at 7 p.m. in the Jax Beach Council Chambers. And we have this in our newsletter. The item on the agenda that night is the proposed gun range on Penman Road. And I know there's a lot of interest in that topic, so we just wanted to make sure people know that this is coming up on the 14th. And we do have information on our website if you would like to get a little bit more information about what the conditional use approval is and what the planning commission makes their decisions on. There's certain criteria with regard to conditional use approvals. So we would encourage you to look at that before you make any comments, because comments have to be relevant to that criteria, or else the planning commission can't consider it. The Jacksonville Beach City Council is going to have a workshop on Wednesday, January 16th at 6 o'clock in council chambers. And we also have, it's a busy time of the year, Councilman Gulliford is having a community meeting that same night at 7 o'clock at the Beaches Branch Library. So Mayor Latham is hoping that they can wrap up so that everybody can then pile up and go to the library and then participate in that community meeting with Councilman Gulliford. So that should be, both of those should be good meetings. And then just a reminder I wanted to put on here, Jax Beach is having council briefings at 6:30 before the regular city council meetings. So that's an opportunity if you can go there early and actually get some of the background and I guess background information on the agenda items before the regular meeting. So, and then the last announcement is our next meeting is Wednesday, February 6th, and we're having Carla Miller, who is the director with the Office of Ethics in the City of Jacksonville, and she's going to be talking about what citizens need to know about the Sunshine Law. There's been a lot of discussion lately about sunshine, what things have to be in the sunshine. There have been questions about texting. You know, is texting in the sunshine, is it not? You know, things like that. So she'll be able to answer a lot of these questions. It should be a very educational meeting, so we hope people will plan to come. And anyway, yes,
Did you mention the police building workshop for Atlantic Beach on Monday at 4:30?
No, I didn't. I didn't know about that. So Monday the 14th? Okay, Monday the 14th at 4:30.
In Chambers. We're having a commission workshop on the police building.
Okay.
But the public's invited.
Okay. And can the public speak, or is just...
If there's time at the end of the workshop, we will allow for public comment.
Okay, so in case you might not have been able to hear, Commissioner Marks was saying that Atlantic Beach will have a workshop about the police building on Monday the 14th at 4:30 in Commission Chambers in Atlantic Beach. So another good meeting, hopefully. There's a lot of things going on in January, but anyway, so I'd like to go ahead and get started. What we're going to do tonight, we were going to have all three of the mayors. They each are going to have about 15 minutes to talk to us. If they want to talk about accomplishments in the last year, plans for the coming year, issues, current issues right now, anything that they might want to bring up with regard to the 2013 legislative session, which will be starting soon. And then after all three of the mayors have had an opportunity to speak, then we'll open the floor for questions and answers. And so we will do the polite thing tonight. We're going to let ladies go first. And so Mayor Harriet Pruette will be our first speaker. So thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I certainly want to thank Beaches Watch because they do a great job getting issues out in our community. I think they really get people involved, and that's what we need. One of the things that says what citizens can do to support you and your city in the coming year, again, coming down to the council meetings and letting the council hear from you when you have ordinances and things coming before the council is very important. The upcoming 2013 legislative session, I'm going to leave that to Mike. Mike is very versed in this, and he can fill us in on that. He's president of the Florida League of Cities, Northeast Florida League of Cities, and I always rely on Mike when it comes to the legislative session. Neptune Beach, we don't even have any money to send anybody over there, so it's always important to get it from somebody that's really in the know, and Mike will fill us in on that. One of the things last year that we did, we put in the solar panels, and we just got our first solar bill, or our electric bill. And our electric bill was only $60. And that is based on a month that was mostly cloudy. When it's cloudy, we generate at least 25% of solar, what we need. When it's sunny, it's 100%. So when it really gets sunny, we're going to be able to hopefully sell some energy back to the city of Jacksonville Beach. So we're really happy about that. I'm not going to get into the pension reform tonight. We are going to be discussing it this year. I talked to Mr. Jarbo about it today, and he wants to wait until the legislative body meets the state so that we can get more information before we really get into the discussion. I will say in 2009, it was 4.44% of our general fund budget. And in 2013, the budget, it's projected at 7.4% of the general fund budget, so you can see that it's rising. For Neptune Beach, we just have the police pension fund to have to worry about, but we are going to be discussing it in the next few months. Number one, the city will be undertaking the replacement of the sewer lines and the lift stations in Bal Harbor subdivision that has been in existence for roughly 50 years. And the cost of this project could be in excess of $3 million, and for Neptune Beach, that's a lot of money. The project is going to be very complicated because the lines are behind the homes, and it could be expensive for some of the homeowners going from the street moving it from the back to the street. We've got a lot of things to work out on that. But if you noticed when you go down Florida Boulevard, sometimes when we have storms, you've seen raw sewage coming out of the manholes. And this will help that greatly, but it's something that we've been planning for a long, long time. It is going to be a major project for Neptune Beach, and I'm delighted that we are finally going to get on it for the people in the area. The next issue is the tipping fee disagreement with Jacksonville. I guess most of y'all know that under the interlocal agreement with Jacksonville, Neptune Beach has the right to dump its trash in the landfill free of charge until Jacksonville implements a uniform fee that covers the cost of trash collection. And Jacksonville says they have complied, and that we in Atlantic Beach believe that we have not. I mean, they have not. And the cost to our city could be as high as roughly $300,000 a year. I think it's been at least $250,000 on us, and it's been $500,000 on Atlantic Beach, and that's every year, and it will go up. So we are fighting this. It's moving very slow. It's complicated, and it's also frustrating with what we've received from the county. We've never even received a phone call from Mayor Alvin Brown in reference to this. Next issue facing Neptune Beach, and all this is relating to money for Neptune Beach, because really that's our biggest issue. We are a very small community, and most of our money comes from tax money, and we certainly don't want to tax the citizens out of their house and home. The next issue is Neptune Beach may be under new rules from the EPA regarding the level of nitrate in the treated water. We have met the state standards by retrofitting our sewer plant 2 years ago at a cost of $2,250,000. And I think last year, if some of y'all came down here, y'all remember I was talking about our little bug condo. We worked out this, it's a new way of dealing with it, and it has lowered our nitrates considerably. And now the federal government is considering even additional and more stringent rules. The possible cost to our city is unknown at this time, so we don't know where we are right at that moment. Another important issue is health care for our employees. Each year the cost is rising at rates in excess of 30% or more, and the new federal regulation will require our plan to be upgraded to meet the federal mandated health care rules. A cost we can't estimate at this point, so that's another large cost to the city of Neptune Beach. A final issue which relates to all that I've talked about is, again, going back to money, and it's having enough money to run our city. In addition to the cost hanging over our head, the revenue from the state is shrinking, and the state legislative body is considering putting more restrictions on our existing revenue. We will not know how bad this affects us until after the legislative session this spring, and we're waiting for that to find out more, and also before we talk about our pension, we'll find out more about the state. But we are working on it, and it's nice that the three beaches cities work together on issues that certainly impact all of us. We have a great community. I think people in town don't understand that we're three cities, but we're still a community. One community, three cities, and we're like brothers and sisters. You can, say things about us and do things to us, but when it comes to speaking up and things that are really important to us, we'll come together. So for now, that's all I've got. If I think of anything else, I will bring it up, or y'all can ask some questions at the end. Anyway, thank y'all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see you turn out tonight. This is always a great venue, and each of us approach our reports in probably a little different manner, but we cover a lot of the same things. Successes in Atlantic Beach over 2012. We had energy grants that paid 100% of the cost to replace numerous high-back ACs in all of our city buildings, and the lights in the ball fields, and purchased an electric car for the police department and made other energy savings. I don't have a breakdown on what it saved us, but it was a big cost savings. Less use of electricity. Wastewater plant upgrades, we have completed that to meet the new nitrogen standards for the St. Johns River, and our operating cost savings are estimated to be approximately $350,000 a year. Of course, as Mayor Pruette mentioned, EPA is sticking their nose under the canvas flap of the tent and wanting to drive possibly changes, more stringent. And it's a constant battle, and it comes under unfunded mandates, telling us what we got to do out of our own taxpayers' pocket. And it's not a level playing field. If we can keep the federals out of it, we can work with the state and probably keep our head above water. River Branch Preserve, that has been expanded over 11 acres now, an additional 11 acres, through grants from a private foundation. Atlantic Beach is very fortunate. We take in less grants now than we did 2 years ago. But we still have a very good dedicated staff that has been reasonably trained, and we're considering employing a professional grant writer for one specific purpose, and that is for the preserve. The preserve is Atlantic Beach as you come across Johnson Island all the way up to Dutton Island, and we're looking to get grants to get design and put a pathway between the two with other amenities. There's a master plan that has been approved by the commission, and that is on our action item for this coming Monday's meeting. Our budget for 2012-2013, we were able to hold the tax rate in spite of declining property values, and we're starting to see a little bit of nudge in Atlantic Beach, and I believe all three beaches are starting to see some movement. Trying to think, one house I was just told about the other day was put on the market and sold the next day. So it's either priced right or something's happening the right way. It's moving that rapidly. We are maintaining our water, sewer, and sanitation rates. We've reduced our manpower in several departments, but we're still able to maintain services in all areas. Where we're at the bottom line, we have cut, we have cut, we have cut. If we cut any more, we're going to be cutting personnel. We cut personnel, we cut services. So it's up to the citizens to tell us what services you want. That drives the vote on what decisions we have to make to be able to provide them to you. So always keep that in mind. Don't hesitate to show up and talk to us. 2013 plans. Pension reform for both police and general plans. We have negotiations going on since May of 2012. Currently we're at impasse with both unions, but we expect to finalize that this spring. And they just had an impasse hearing for general employees yesterday. Am I correct? Right. And so we'll be getting some information back on that one, and sooner or later we'll end up with the police. It's an ongoing negotiating thing, and I'll talk more about that side of it when I get into the legislative issues. The Marsh Master Plan, we expect construction to begin. Again, that is the preserve and everything off to the left-hand side, all the way up Atlantic Boulevard on the intercoastal. We expect construction on 2 new overlooks and a new kayak launch at Dutton Island this year. And we are applying for funds to design the path to connect Dutton Island with the tide view preserves. Last but not least, we're still fighting tipping fees with the city of Jacksonville. And what we're dealing with is city of Jacksonville, depending on what they do, are dual-hatted. They have the responsibility to us as the county, and they have the responsibility for the city of Jacksonville limits to Jacksonville. The light bulb has not gone off. They don't understand their responsibilities. And so it's a constant fight on the elected officials of the 3 beach cities to always pay attention to what's going on and make many a trip downtown and talk to our representatives, and if we have to, go to their meetings and fight the battles. It's an educational issue. We try and meet with them, we try and educate them, try to get them to understand and read the interlocal agreements. They have no great interest in it, and so in turn they feel that, you know, they do it, you fall in line. Well, the beach cities don't fall in line that easy. So we were at loggerheads with them on tipping fees, and it's been ongoing. And Interlocal says that when there is a equitable, reasonable fee for use of the landfill, Trail Ridge landfill, then the beach cities are supposed to then start paying tipping fees. Up to that point in time, it was paid by our ad valorem tax that they kept a portion of. We get a portion of it back by interlocal agreement. We had to take them to court to be able to get that. So we maybe end up in court again. You never know. Let's hope not. But the ball is in their court right now, and we've been trying to get meetings with people to try and get resolution, trying to get it straightened out. City of Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach paid for funding, and we went down and audited their books. They had nobody in-house that knew any of the relationship on how any of their figures came up, and there was two different sets of figures presented to us. So it can't be equitable if it's two different set of figures. And so they had to go borrow one person from another department that they had transferred him to back for 3 days to be able to perform an audit. This is the frustration level that we live with. So it's ongoing, it's not over yet, and we intend to win. Bottom line. I'll shift to legislative issues. Pension reform. I go to or serve on a lot of committees, policy committees with the Florida League of Cities and the Florida League of Mayors, and I am president right now of the Northeast Florida League of Cities. None of us are against pensions. And the employees really have a difficult time trying to understand that. What we're after is a level playing field of negotiations, not being dictated to by the legislature with unfunded mandates, and you got to do this, and you have to do this, and you have to do this, and there is no funding or any funds put forward. Comes out of all of our taxpayer pockets. So that is one of the hot issues that is ongoing for this year. It made one of the top 10 priority policy issues that came out of the Florida League of Cities policy meetings that are worked on through August, September, October, and then finalized in November of each year. Atlantic Beach passed an ordinance with that attached to it 10 December. And I'll give you a little bit of information off of that. Part of it says, Atlantic Beach is seeking immediate mandate relief from the Florida legislature and requests the legislature to untie its hands so that it can be responsibly address its pension and other personnel issues locally and in a manner that best serves its taxpayers, stops potential pension abuse, and protects pensions for current and future generations of police officers. We also request the legislature to remove itself from local collective bargaining process. We also request the legislature to remove mandates establishing minimum pension benefit standards for police pensions, remove the requirements to provide new extra pension benefits to police, and allow the City of Atlantic Beach to use insurance premium tax revenues to pay for the level of pension benefits for police officers that meet the needs and priorities of the City of Atlantic Beach. We also request the Florida legislature to enact responsible reforms to bring a fairer balance to the application of disability presumption laws relating to certain health conditions suffered by police officers by allowing a disability presumption to be overcome by a preponderance of the evidence, and allowing certain individual risk factors to be considered when applying a disability presumption, such as tobacco or alcohol use, weight and diet, genetics, and lifestyle choices. What that says in common everyday language is, right now, the mandates exist in Florida statutes that any police officer gets high blood pressure. He can go and file underneath this and say it's job related. doesn't take into effect genetics, smoking, anything else. We want relief from that. We want to deal on it on an individual, personal, one-on-one basis. That's all we're asking for, level playing field. So that is the hot issue that goes right now. I talked to Scott Dudley, the head of the Florida League of Cities legislative group this afternoon, and they have met with the leadership of the House and the Senate, and they have received good vibes that they are very receptive to bills being introduced this year for relief. It sounds good. Depends on what the bill reads. So we got one bill right now here that's already been sent into committee in the Senate, and it's not relief. It's worse. So we're looking for somebody to sponsor a counter bill and working on it that way. And in the House, we're still looking for somebody, and we're working with all of our legislators and our senators in this off period where we can grab them, sit down in their office, take them to lunch, look them eye to eye, and explain what it means to us here on the local level and why we need relief. We can't keep going downhill with unfunded mandates and spending tax money without costing people higher taxes. And that's not fair to anybody. Also, the top 10 legislative issues cover a multitude of sins, and I'll give you a summary of that. We approved 10 top items, which includes positions of municipal police officer and firefighter pension plans and disability presumptions. There's an energy, 2 priorities there, one of them being water policy, communications and local business tax protection. There is bills that got defeated last year being reintroduced this year on those, taking away the funds from both those. And in Atlantic Beach, it's communications bill is $61,000, and the business tax bill is higher than that. The revenue, it just totally wipes out. They grab it, we lose it because they're manipulating on how these are applied. Economic development is being addressed, housing policy, billboards, transportation funding, sober homes. Sober homes relates to absent landlords, issues like that, slum landlords, things that can get you into a lot of problems, and synthetic drugs. Synthetic drugs are becoming more of a problem now than natural drugs. So that pretty well has got the gist in a real quick highlighted summary. If any of you are interested in more details, don't ever hesitate to get a hold of me. I provided these to both of the other mayors, asking if they would consider doing the same thing in their councils. And the objective is, for the Florida League of Cities, there's 410 cities. And we're shooting to try and get 100% participation of these type resolutions so that we have a gorilla when you walk in over there, and the Florida League of Cities takes them to them. And they say, well, we haven't heard from our constituents. So what is there about this? Squeaky wheel gets the grease. Thank you.
Well, I'm the rookie. Thanks for having me. I want to thank Beaches Watch as well for having us today, and for all of you for showing up today. And I also want to thank Mayor Pruette and Mayor Borno for making me feel at home. We had our first mayor and city manager meeting a few weeks ago, and it was kind of daunting to be surrounded by all that experience, but they've done a really good job of getting me up to speed, and I'm really grateful to the 50.2 50.27% of the voters of Jacksonville Beach for giving me the opportunity to be here today.
It's a landslide.
I want to recognize Councilman Lee Buck, who has recently left the City Council in Jacksonville Beach, and because Tom Taylor, also from the previous council, I'm going to talk a couple minutes, and Janelle Wilson has just walked in back in the back. These folks were on the council last year that gets credit for a lot of the things that have taken place in the last year. And there's been some great things that's been taking place. Being a rookie, I brought a bunch of pictures to show you too, so we'll do some of those. But in the last year, Beach Renourishment Project was completed about a year ago. That was a very expensive $10 million project to put new sand out and restore our shores. And we were able to get federal and state money for that, so it didn't cost us much money. We're looking at a new 54-unit apartment complex on 1st Street between 6th and 7th Avenue North. And we just approved the zoning change. And this is kind of what the artist rendering looks like for the facility. So it's kind of similar to the Pier Point scenario where there's some commercial buildings down on the 1st floor and then a couple of floors of the apartment complex. And you're welcome to pass those around if you want to. We completed the Avalon subdivision with a public-private relationship with the citizens in that area and the city of Jacksonville Beach. They really couldn't have done it without us, and we really couldn't have done it without them. So this is a good example of how we can work together. Maybe it's not a great idea to pass Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'll set these up here. You can come look at them now. But we've got the Avalon subdivision completed, and it's filling up really quickly. We're getting a lot of houses built and new taxpayers that can help defray the cost of living in paradise. Avalon is actually, if you go down 3rd Street just before you get to JTB, right after 37th Avenue South on the left-hand side of the road. It's back hidden, most of it's hidden back behind the trees back there. It's really nice. If you haven't had a chance, go take a look. It's beautiful. We completed 9th Street, South Beach Parkway rebuild from Beach Boulevard all the way to St. Johns County line. That was about a $4 million project that we used federal stimulus money for. And completed the natural gas systems for commercial customers. We got a new Wendy's coming up on 3rd Street, right at 3rd Street and 5th Avenue South on the west side of 3rd Street. And our building construction's increasing, which is kind of nice. I saw Lee at breakfast this morning and he told me that houses are moving like that, huh Lee?
A lot better.
Good. Redevelopment downtown. Much of the downtown has been redeveloped. There's been a long-standing plan for redevelopment downtown, and we've made some really good strides in moving forward. Destination Street that we're working on right now. And the Destination Street, for those of you hear that term, if you're not familiar with it, it's a term that we basically generated ourselves to orient it towards tourism. So the Destination Street is where people are going to come to go to the shops and the pubs and the restaurants and whatnot. But you can see this is 1st Street North, 5th Avenue North, 2nd Street North, 3rd Street up here. And the Destination Street here is going to be fixed first. And then they're going to go ahead up 5th Avenue North and get all that taken care of, get the infrastructure taken care of. So that's well underway now. And again, I'll put these up here. We're also going to be reconstructing roads and drainage from Beach Boulevard to 16th Avenue South along 1st and 2nd Streets. And like Mayor Pruette says, there's a lot of infrastructure that very old, and you don't see it. It's out of sight, out of mind, and it costs a lot of money to maintain. And that's going to be something that all 3 beaches are going to be working with here very shortly. The south end, the Perry property, which is up on Sanctuary Boulevard and South Beach Parkway, that's recently being looked at as a residential area where we're going to put in some new single-family subdivision, and we're working to get that all resolved right now and get it approved so we can move forward. There's a developer that's been identified, and it's a very exciting prospect for us. Beach's Energy has reduced rates by over $11 per 1,000 kilowatts, saving customers hundreds of dollars each year. And the good news is we're going to have another rate reduction this year. So rates are going to come down even a little further. We do this with no franchise fees and no city tax. So this is, Beach's Energy is our biggest money maker, but it's our biggest money spender too. And the city staff does an amazing job of managing the structure for distribution as well as managing the grid, so that we're investing wisely and providing excellent service. We've got one of the best downtimes in the state of Florida. It's really amazing. Sanitation and stormwater rates have not increased in over 20 years in Jacksonville Beach. We've constructed a new $21 million waste treatment plant with no taxpayer funds. And the water and sewer, which we just mentioned, still need to maintain 108 miles of water mains, 16 miles of force mains, 38 sewer lift stations, 1,698 manholes, 849 fire hydrants, and over 10,000 water services or water connections. So a lot going on. The hydrogen sulfide production is a big deal, and to anybody that's had any exposure to that, hydrogen peroxide is a byproduct gas of waste decomposition. And it's a very, not only deadly gas in high concentrations, but it's a very disruptive gas. And that's what does a lot of the damage to our infrastructure system. So it does take a lot of work to keep them up. What lies ahead? Wow, we got a lot of stuff lying ahead. Public safety is still a big concern for Jacksonville Beach. I'm probably one of the proudest mayors around when it comes to the police force. I'm like a groupie. I think they're amazing people. They do an amazing job, but they need a few more folks. We still have a problem with vagrancy, and we're going to have a workshop, as Sandy mentioned, on Wednesday the 16th. We've had our first workshop shortly after we were all sworn in as the new council in November of last year, where we established an outline of priorities, and George, the city manager, and I have been working pretty hard to kind of group them into similar bundles, create a good structure of priorities so that we could have a good target list to work on together. And that's what this meeting next week is going to be, is to, because of the sunshine law, we can't speak about it until we're all together and in front of the public. So we'll move pretty quickly so we can go over to Bill Gulliford's meeting, but it'll give us a chance to sit down and firm up our priorities and then establish the first workshop so that we can get started. Downtown parking and paid parking is one of the things on that list. And it's time for us to completely restructure parking in Jacksonville Beach. And we look forward to, at the same time, we're absolutely horrified to delve into that, but it's time to do it right, and that's what we're looking to do. Support for business partnerships with the chamber and business owners. I'm kind of proud to announce that we're going to be announcing here this month a business assistance representative at City Hall. That's a pilot project that's going to provide an opportunity for businesses when they come into town, or if they want to make a change to their store, or they need a permit alter or anything, mod, they can come to that one individual, and that one individual will own the process until it's completed. We'll provide customer service. We're going to actually get the tax rolls from Jacksonville. We're going to monitor the taxes paid by businesses, and we're going to proactively reach out to all our large businesses and touch base with them once a quarter or once every 6 months, and how are we doing, what can we be doing to help you, that type of thing. So we want to foster just a good working relationship with our businesses so that we can see more of the appropriate family-oriented businesses that we'd like to see in Jacksonville Beach come on back down to Jacksonville Beach. We're going to work with arm in arm with the Hospitality Network, Visit Florida, and the Chamber of Commerce. My motto, and Chief's heard me say it a couple of times, is, you know, I want to see butts in seats and heads in beds. And I want to do what we can to keep our restaurants full and our hotels full, and by providing the kind of environment that is suitable for family enjoyment downtown, and bringing more people into the area. We're going to review city ordinances that may unduly restrict businesses, and also, quite frankly, we're going to look at the ordinances and provide the police the opportunity and the resources to take care of this growing problem we have with vagrants. And the other thing I want to say is that I'm proud to announce that we're going to do everything in our power to give Neptune Beach and Atlantic Beach a run for their money with Christmas lights this year. Where's the beaches leader? I also want to say, and Mayor Pruette said it so well, but you know, I feel very strongly as well, and it was part of my campaign mantra. We are 3 cities, but we're one community, and I'm very, very honored to work with these 2 folks and the other city councils. And you'll find that I'm a very protective team player, and we're all on the same team. Everybody in this room is part of the big family, and we're going to work really hard to take care of the big family. A couple of other things. Legislation. We do have a couple of, Mayor Borno did cover most of it. Pension reform is without question our #1 concern. Very similar to his statements. The communication service taxes is our #2. Communication service taxes, the state has a tendency to get generous by telling people, well, we're going to do away with this and we're going to do away with that, but what they're doing is taking away our money. The communication service taxes last year, the first modification took place in Q3 of last year. Jacksonville Beach, we lost $40,000 of state revenue in 1 quarter. That's $160,000 that will be in the general fund next year. So that's just one good example of how that can come and impact us. Local business taxes and streamlined sales taxes legislation we're going to be on top of this year. And I want to show a couple of other things here. Part of our downtown redevelopment and beautification project. You can come up and look at these afterwards, but our signs, we're using the surfboard motif, not because we're all surfer dudes, but because it just seems to fit really well with what we're doing downtown. And the public restrooms, these have been open now for what, over a year, I think, and they're being maintained during the season each day, and we hire a company to come in and keep them clean. And during the winter, we keep them pretty much closed except for the weekends. But we've gotten a lot of real good feedback from the locals that like to go down during the day and take a walk on the beach. So another example, and I'm trying to keep in with your format here, but I think I'll save the rest for questions. Thank you very much.
Start taking questions and
I have 2 comments. Number 1, Jacksonville Beach and electric. Neptune Beach gets our electric from Jacksonville Beach, and y'all do a fine job for us. We have for years, and I'm so thankful we have y'all. Second thing is, listening to everybody, I'd like to mention our employees in Neptune Beach. We've gone down in employees, and our employees multitask. Works real well with our city manager. If we did not have that, Jimmy Jarbo has done a great job with our employees and multitasking like these solar panels up here. We got a $100,000 grant, and they wanted us to spend another $100,000 for labor, and our own people got out there and put these solar panels in. So as small as we are and as hard up as Neptune Beach is for money, our employees do a great job for us. And a lot of times people say, oh, I see them down the street, they're not doing anything. They're out there working, and I'm very proud of them. And they're not here tonight, but I very much thank them for all they do for Neptune Beach.
Actually, it's not really a question, it's just a comment. Charlie, I can't believe you did not mention the 2013 HGTV Smart House that is being built in Jacksonville Beach. I mean, that's huge.
It is.
It's Paradise.
You're right, right. And in Paradise Key up off of Jacksonville Drive, and you're absolutely right, and I'm sorry. I've actually got a thumb drive from George, so I can bring my laptop and show you the commercial. It's really neat.
It's awesome. Well, everybody needs to go to HGTV and look at that.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And you can also apply to try to win the house, right?
Not
yet.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
The other thing I wanted to mention was I also want to compliment you on your police department as well. I was there today. I wanted to take a brief tour of the police station, you know, our issue coming up, and very, very helpful, very, very hospitable, very impressed with the operations, and I think you definitely do a great job.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Same thing, Harriet. I tease you and call Neptune Beach our Waldo.
Oh,
Because let me tell you, if you're speeding, you're going to get pulled over. They do a great job. You guys do a great job. And I'm thinking we should have our police cars painted black also, because you cannot see them on them. But, no, excellent job. hopefully with the money you're saving on your solar and energy, you'll be able to go to some of these trips to Tallahassee or whatever with it.
I'd like to introduce Mary Ann. Mary Ann is Janet Atkins' right arm lady, as I call her, our state representative, and welcome. And thank you for coming up from Fernandina and being with us tonight.
Thank you. And Janet's a very good
Questions? Janelle?
Mayor, you did tell them about the building that's being renovated down by the Historical Society buildings.
The chapel?
The chapel?
The chapel?
No, the building, the office building there.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a nice addition to our community, right there by the train station and everything.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're totally renovating, adding balconies and railings and stuff, so.
Is that the old recording studio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, just east of that.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to follow up too on Maria's comment about the police. Tomorrow starts the 30th Citizens Police Academy. And how many of you have done that? There's a whole lot of you in the room that have done it. It's probably too late to do this for tomorrow. It's not. The chief says it's not. He will make it so. See Chief Dooley after the meeting. I got to tell you, Councilman Taylor's a good friend of mine. He told me early on, he says, you got to go to this. And it took me a couple of quarters to get there, but once we got there, you sit there and you're amazed every week. You're absolutely, totally amazed. We are so blessed and fortunate to have that group of folks protecting us every night when we sleep. And quite frankly, these folks know what I'm talking about, and all the councilmen and women in the audience know what I'm talking about. But we get to find out on a regular basis what's going on in the city that you don't hear, because the phone's ringing all the time and we're getting updates. And I've never, and this is coming from a fourth-generation military guy, I have never seen a group of people be so command presence oriented, yet customer service oriented at the same time. They're amazing folks. So Chief, my hat's off to you. Yes, sir.
Well, the one big thing too that you have to mention is how much it saves us from the people that come out of that
my goodness.
CRP class that's able to help us with parades, help us with different things. And I'm probably the one councilman that's been but has never graduated.
There's always hope in the future.
That's that University of Georgia connection.
Charlie, you mentioned Christmas lights. What about fireworks?
No respect at all. At our first meeting with the mayors and the city managers, we started talking about fireworks, and every face looked at me. I am standing strong with what I said during the campaign, and I'm going to work really hard with our city manager and our staff to build a really nice 4th of July package. And it's going to involve, hopefully, the Navy band at the band shell, maybe a parade of veterans, and at least initially, hopefully, and I'm not a dictator, so I can't tell you this with full certainty, but at least a small fireworks package as we transition into darkness.
Atlantic Beach supports that.
Yeah, ultimately it would be great to do that, and we've looked at what we can do and the resources that we have to get more people on the ground so that we have a safer environment. I understand completely why it was managed the way that it was managed, but we just need to work together as a council and work with our sister cities to see if we can't find a way to make it happen, because it's all about America. Any others? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, I'm Linda Lanier, and I've been working with a group of people that have been trying to get our island named. And the cities of Atlantic, Neptune, and Jacksonville Beach have all supported a name, which was San Pablo Island, and also the city of Jacksonville did on behalf of Mayport. Unfortunately, St. Johns County Commission said they didn't want our island to have a name. And so that occurred in their December meeting. At that time, Councilman Bill Gulliford attended that meeting, and he carried a letter from Council President Bill Bishop asking that they help us establish sort of a task force of some people from St. Johns County and some people from this end of the island to come up with a name that everybody can agree upon. And at that meeting, they pretty much ignored that request. So I wonder the next time the three of you get together, if you might consider, on behalf of all of us, the more than 70% of people in Duval County who live on the island, if you would consider the three of you possibly writing a joint letter to St. Johns County Commission, specifically asking them to follow through.
I'd like to address that. The deadline for that decision, for the inputs, January 31st of 2013. A lot of us have sent in the individual surveys, and I talked to the Beaches Chamber of Commerce. When was it, Janelle? I can't even remember. December?
December, yes.
Yeah, December.
December meeting.
And brought this up and gave them copies of all that and told them we need the loaded ballot box. If that's what we want, in San Pablo Island, then let's get off of it, take 2 minutes, fill that form out, and submit it up to the Board of Survey so that they can make a decision. They very well will be a true federal identity, and will waffle, say, well, we're hearing from two sides, so we're not going to do anything. So we're back to square one. I'm hoping that they take my weight of the input and make a decision. That's all I can hope for right now.
Well, perhaps if they don't, then if you would consider, the three of you, writing a letter and asking that there is a task force established. We're not, you know, I don't know that anybody is completely stuck on the name of San Pablo Island. We think it's a great idea, but there's a lot of names out there that people could be happy with. But what St. Johns County Commission has said, actually, in their discussion was, they said things like, why do I have to decide this? I don't want to decide. They think the whole issue stinks. And they have Anastasia Island, so they really don't want this to be a, quote, island with any name. And which is pretty unfair, because most of the people are Duval County people who live on this island. So maybe if you would just consider that the next time y'all get together.
We can do that. We can also advise them that we would have not be adverse to annexing the rest. Yeah. Down to the Bahamas, so we have to find a name.
That is the best idea.
That's a good one.
I was just going to suggest that. I don't mind if you call it Doherty Island. With
that accent?
I'm Googling it. Just try pronouncing it. That's the difficulty.
I'd like for you guys to consider that all of you supported the Save the Ferry. And a lot of people think that the ferry is saved, and that's so far from the truth. So we'd like for you, the task force, for you guys to really help us, because it's not just about the ferry. One thing St. John's gets the message is A1A, and how important A1A is. And I know all three cities right now are working with the Greenway to put the signs up and some other things, but we're going to really need your help this year to support this, because it's not just about the ferry, it's about A1A and businesses down that way. And if you want to see what would happen if traffic stops going down A1A, go and drive on St. John's St. John's Bluff. Drive down there and look how many businesses are dead. Just imagine what could happen on A1A. These people will bypass this and go all the way to St. Augustine. So we hope that you'll support that continually as the cities have.
Right, there's a lot of action going on that, and I've heard vibes from a specific agency that until they make a decision, we don't want to talk about it. But there is an interest in an agency to bring it underneath its umbrella where it belongs. And so with that being said, I took Councilman Crescibeni out to the base Friday morning and showed him the fender system that we had put in there years ago to get away from the wood facings, and introduced to him, took him out to the ferry slip and gave him an idea of how that would interface. And we're talking about that, and also on a maintenance issue. So there's some of us working, besides we can't get to committee meetings, but we're working in so many other issues, trying to help resolve many and varied things. But yes, it doesn't need to go away.
Well, near and dear to my heart is our Neptune Beach's branch library, which happens to be in Neptune Beach, but of course it serves everybody. And we've been fighting the fight to cut funding and to cut, which is cut funding and personnel, and it's not just our beaches branch, but the county. And they're working on a resolution to send to Tallahassee. But I would love to see you conglomerate, the three mayors, to be sure and back and let the city know that the library is an important meeting place for our community. It is a central place and a place where our children learn and adults learn, and we just enjoy it. So if you would continue to support that.
Sybil, you know I support it. One of the things that I really have heartburn about is there's a library board, and the city of Jacksonville has not even put a person from the beaches on that library board. I've talked to Chris and Benny about it, and one of the other counselors about it, but I believe that the mayor should step up to the plate and put one of the beaches people on that board, and I will continue to do what I can in that area.
Phyllis Towsey was on there from Atlantic Beach. But
There should be beach representation. This is another one of those issues to where they drive it, they think they're in charge of everything, and fail to recognize that we are an integral part of the county. Mr. Doherty? You got a question?
Yeah, I just had a quick question. What are the three you see the future of the Navy here locally in the next 5 to 10 years?
Future of the Navy, that's an easy one to answer. We have a LPH coming in fall of 2013, followed by 2 other amphibious ships. There still is funding going on for more construction and preparation for a nuclear carrier facility to support it. The timeline on that keeps getting moved around. But the last defense appropriation bill that just got approved, I think 30 days ago, about 30 days ago, took away the stipulation of a lot of the retirements of the FFGs and the Aegis class cruisers. So several ships are getting ready to be decommissioned in 30 days are reversed right now. We're manning them back up where we've been transferring crews. We're starting to put them back mechanically. And so we'll be maintaining a lot more ships in the harbor than we anticipated, where we were expected to draw down to really nothing. And the littoral combat ships, the LCS ships, which are only manned by 35 people, are being very slow in construction. That's not what drove that decision. We just got too many commitments and not enough fleet assets to be able to make our commitments. And our commitments get worse when we don't get more ships. So we had a, what was it they just told us the other day about the carrier task group? The escorts, something happened. Oh, one of the aircraft carriers just got his deck decertified.
Yeah. Lincoln.
Lincoln. It's a major issue. It takes you 6 to 9, maybe if you're lucky 9 months, you can get it recertified. So all the escort ships, and several of them in our harbor, just returned with that. And they were expecting to be in for 8 months maintenance, training, update, get ready for the next deployment. They're being turned around in less than 2 months, less than 8 weeks, right back to sea again. So it's going on. Lee?
Yeah. One thing I want to get back to a second, and that's A1A. I won't give you the year, but when I was at Fletcher, that's how we got to play Fernandina and football and basketball. But Mayport was also a thriving place, and that's where you went for dinner. I mean, those shrimp boats, it was just a great place. And personally, as a realtor, I just see Mayport with A1A someday really making a comeback. And I don't know, I couldn't predict the year, but there's just too much history there and too much potential there. But they need A1A, that's for sure.
I agree. Community support and community involvement out there will help it. Any other questions, sir?
Yeah, you were just talking about St. Johns County and stuff, and you guys all work together very well. And I think that, you know, with Beach's energy and all the other interlocking, we all work together as a team. Whereas St. Johns County, it seems like you don't have as much rapport with them. As Nocatee finally starts coming online, there's gonna be 15,000 homes there. Those people are coming to one beach, these beaches right here, because there's nothing in St. Johns County. Are you guys working with anybody in St. Johns County? Because these people have to go somewhere, and it's just gonna be more of a gridlock on these beaches.
Well, I, for one, have extended my hand to try and meet with them individually or collectively, and I get less response than I get out of the city of Jacksonville, which is zero.
I haven't quite got there yet, but it's on my agenda. It's been 51 days. Haven't quite
Yeah, you're fine.
The fire hose.
We'll all keep trying.
Yeah.
We don't give up just because of, you know, we'll wear them down.
Charge them more for parking.
Well,
Yeah.
the three of us together will be a good force, and we'll work our way down there.
I have one more question. You were all talking about how we work together at the beaches and stuff, and obviously it sounds like the big elephant in the room is the pensions and stuff. Is there any chance, let's say, I'm just throwing this out there, with like, let's say the maintenance or something, that the beaches could consolidate that portion of the beaches? In other words, have one maintenance facility, have, you know, I don't know. You understand where I'm going with this?
I'll give you an earful there.
Yeah.
I'm open for discussion on anything, but I can tell you now that the citizens of Neptune Beach through the years, they want to keep Neptune Beach. I can remember.
I'm not saying do away with it.
I know, but I can remember many years ago when we got rid of a function we had to, and I forgot what it was at the moment, and the citizens were quite upset about it. Down the road, probably not in my lifetime, but down the road, and it might be in my lifetime, it might be 10 years down the road, but the way things are going, if money doesn't pick up, and things like that, I mean, we're going to have to look at all kinds of options down the road. But that is an option. But I can tell you probably the people of Jacksonville Beach and Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach citizens, there would be quite a few that would be quite upset about it. And it was something that we'd have to have public hearings on and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's options out there, and one day we're going to have to look at quite a few of them.
And also, in the same vein, the first meeting, I was really glad to see my colleagues to my left here very interested in this very discussion. What can we do? We still want to maintain our autonomous.
Right. I understand.
But what can we do to make this better for all of our citizens? And we'll continue to do that monthly as we work together.
Look at animal control. Jacksonville, the county is supposed to provide animal control. Atlantic Beach provides 2 animal control officers, and Neptune Beach has spent close to $75,000 a year on one. And y'all have what, 1 or 2?
1.
And just all kinds of things that we could look at down the road. But Jacksonville, again, is supposed to be providing that, and they're not.
I think, to this gentleman's comment, I think another thing to look at is not combining agencies or you know, like public works, police, and stuff like that. But I think it is a pretty good point to maybe look on a buying power. In other words, for instance, health insurance for all your employees. Going in for that way, and maybe those type of services, maybe purchasing certain things. And maybe that kind of power could be something that's not, I don't mean power, but I mean something that would give back to the community.
Neptune Beach has done piggybacking through the years. If it hadn't been for piggybacking, we wouldn't have had some of our roads paved and things like that. So that has, through the years, has helped Neptune Beach off and on. And a lot of times they don't want a small city to come in, and then a lot of times they're willing to piggyback and help us, and it's been beneficial to us.
Yeah, we have done with the health issue and several of those. We've done it every year, and it doesn't work out to where all 3 cities would be on a reasonable level basis, because one city may have too much, forget the word, liability, because of sickness, cancers, throughout your employees, and so in turn, it drags a higher cost factor up. But it's been looked at, been talked about, and been interviewed to where we go just develop a health center strictly for the 3 beaches people, and that's where they go. But it's always on the radar.
Mayor Pruette, remember what the mayor from Jack's Beach just said earlier. I don't know if you caught him. He said that the power rates were going down.
I caught that. I caught that, yes. Well, you know, the
kicking in.
There's an old saying, sometimes hard times call for hard measures. And one day it's going, hopefully it won't be, but one day it could be there that we really have to make some hard decisions, tough decisions. But yes, they're going down.
And bottom line, if we keep fighting with Jacksonville, remember the old dreaded word, Ocean County.
Yeah.
That's right, that's right.
And we'd annex in St. John. We wouldn't hold that against them.
And you know what, if Jacksonville thinks that we might not look at it again, they better think again, because when it comes to our sovereignty, is that the word I want to use?
Yeah.
We'll look at, we'll do some thinking of a lot of things.
And Mayor Borno said it best, you know, we don't fall in line easy. We lock arms, we're gonna work together, and we'll do what we have to do. And it was part of my campaign early on, and I know Mayor Borno and I have talked about it. We'll do whatever we have to take care of our citizens. So.
Andy?
It goes back to the library. Our library was the Southeast Regional Library. It is no longer. They changed that and moved it over to Hodges. I've asked a couple of people, nobody can tell me what the significance of that is, but I think it's probably something we need to look at, because I don't know why the Beach Library is no longer the Southeast Regional. It went over to the one at Hodges, and there's got to be a funding or something behind that, or they wouldn't have bothered to do it if it didn't mean anything. And in one of the Neptune Beach successes of last year, Harriet's Island is no longer there, and it actually looks pretty good out there.
It does, it does, it looks great.
Any other questions?
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Phone up, call us.
And I just want to say thank you to the city of Neptune Beach for opening up their building to us tonight. Unfortunately, we usually meet at the library, which is a wonderful place, and we will be there February 6th for our next meeting. So back to the library, but tonight we couldn't get the library, so we really appreciate Neptune Beach allowing us to have our meeting here tonight. Thank you all for coming, and come to the meeting on February 6th. Thank you.